Guns and LGBTQ+, as Uvalde reminds America of Pulse just days before the tragic anniversary. In April of 1999, a shooting at Columbine High School claimed 13 lives. In December of 2012, a shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary School claimed 26 lives. In February of 2018, a shooting at Marjory, Stoneman Douglas High School claimed 17 lives. In May of 2018, a shooting at Santa Fe High School claimed 10 lives. Yesterday, on May 24, 2022, a shooting at Robb Elementary School claimed 21 lives, mostly 4th, 5th graders. The nation now mourns again. Calls for gun reform will no doubt be made, and accusations of making the attack a political issue. In a nation that now has a body count of 87 children and teachers, just 3 weeks before the anniversary of the Pulse massacre that left 49 LGBTQ+ individuals dead in Orlando. Days before the anniversary of the Virginia Beach shooting that left 12 dead. Only 10 days after the shooting of Buffalo's supermarket left 10 dead. At what point does the pro-life crowd actually care about lives? Did they care in 1977 at the University of Texas shooting that left 17 dead? Did they care at the Sutherland Springs church shooting in 2017 that left 26 dead? This is a distinctly American issue. No other country has to face these massacres with the frequency of Americans. And on Friday, the NRA will hold their annual conference just 4 hours from Uvalde in Houston. Guest speakers are going to include Tommy Loren, Kristi Noem, and of course, Donald Trump.
Wow, what lack of respect for these people to have this and still go along with it after what happened yesterday. I'm speechless. It's prayers without action mean nothing, and we're constantly saying thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers. As soon as this happened, I sent a message over to Chevron Jones. I sent a message over to Representative Michelle Rayner, and I said, what the hell can we do? Yeah. And I feel I've never felt so useless in my life.
The interesting part is about the NRA to me is that you cannot bring guns into the NRA rally.
I didn't know that.
You're never allowed to bring guns into the NRA rally. And so while they're in talking about guns and trying to make it easier and easier for anyone around the country to obtain a gun, you cannot walk through that door with a gun.
Which is also interesting because Texas is an open carry state.
Right.
They make this exception at NRA, but you can walk around with a gun, open carry. Governor Abbott led that. Today there has been a scuff between the
O'Rourke
Democratic
and him, right?
O'Rourke, and he got into a shouting match over this today, an open carry of what Governor Abbott has done, and also the fear, frankly, here in Florida that DeSantis is going to follow the same path, open carry. So.
Didn't he sign a bill calling it constitutional carry? Wasn't that what they called the bill in Texas, I think, or was it here?
That's called gaslighting.
Yeah.
That's what that's called, yeah.
Well, no, gaslighting, I want to bring something up. The Attorney General of Texas last night, or yesterday afternoon when this was all still breaking, Ken Paxton, he literally said, it's not going to be the last time. He literally said to every parent, this is going to happen to your child. This is going to happen. And if we can look at this image on a sec. He was talking about it while wearing a campaign t-shirt. And the reason I like to show this image is because it shows what they care about, is the next election. That's all they really care about. You could fill my backyard pool with a pool of blood from the kids that have died, and Republicans would jump in and dive and splash around. They don't care about anything. And the fact that he was able to talk about it wearing his campaign shirt on Election Day says that he doesn't give a damn about kids, any kids. There's schools where they should be the safest. There are churches, concerts, nowhere are kids safe. And he literally said, it's not going to be the last time. And unfortunately, it's probably something that I have to agree with him. It won't be the last time.
I worry about the apathy of a generation of children, because you have to become very apathetic to do active shooter drills.
And to get used to it.
Yeah, you become desensitized, right? And I wonder what happens to them when they get older. You know, this whole gun and no gun thing, I'm also from a military family, and you know what else is interesting? All the military personnel on a military base, you were not allowed to walk around with a gun. The only person that can have a gun on a military base is a military policeman. But all the soldiers cannot walk around with guns. I don't know why they want people in society to just be able to wander around with guns. It doesn't make any sense.
When you say the apathy of active shooter drills in school, the apathy of that is very funny, because the first thought that I had in the 1960s is the silly duck and cover drills that took place in school, as if ducking under your desk would have one bit of an effect on a nuclear attack.
Yeah.
I think the exact same thing on the active shooting drills and your word of apathy. That's what pops into my mind. Scott, I'd be remiss. I mean, you represent an organization called Safe Schools.
Right.
Thoughts in terms of the safety in our schools?
I think it now comes down to the parents. Like Faye said when she reached out to some of the elected officials at the state level, what can we do? Clearly, elected officials are not going to do anything. We're going to have the back and forth, we're going to have the thoughts and prayers, but unless parents start and I don't mean voting, that's trite to say, get out and vote in the next election. What they need to do is start advocating, agitating, going to their school boards, going to their schools,
Getting involved.
demanding, getting involved in any way possible. I heard somebody on the radio today say that the teachers should stand or the parents should stand at the schoolroom doors, and they could, defend their kids from the people with guns. Ironically, those who said let's have teachers armed in the classroom. This shooter yesterday got past an armed policeman, one or two, I forget how many it was, and was still able to wreak that carnage. So I think it's come to the point where the parents have to be the ones to take the lead.
And I think everyone needs to take the lead, okay? It's, we're constantly being told, if you see something, say something, right? This kid had posted about just killing his grandmother. He posted about to go to an elementary school. And in those 15 minutes, nobody could call 911, or nobody can try to figure out a way to stop the kid. This didn't just start last week. This gentleman was mentally ill for a very long time, and nothing occurred.
And Al, you mentioned 4th and 5th graders. And to me, I just think, our response since Sandy Hook has been teach the kids how to hide under the desk, run for their lives, barricade themselves in a closet. Like, since Sandy Hook, we've given the kids the responsibility of you better learn how to save your own life, because
we're not going to do it.
That's the best we can do as a society. I just don't believe
a uniquely American problem.
4th and 5th graders, figure it out, kids.
Most of you guys here know me, and I like to think I'm somewhat level-headed and don't really buy into a lot of conspiracy theories. But I truly believe that Paxton, Governor Abbott in Texas, they're supporting anarchy. They're supporting a free-for-all state because they're saying everybody should have guns. They want to outsource our children's safety to some ad hoc militia. This is what they want. We've always sort of thought of them as like the David Koresh's, or those, yahoos out in Idaho, living in the mountains and playing soldier. But they want this in their cities. They want this in downtown Dallas. They want this through the streets of Fort Worth. They want this everywhere. And once all of their people have guns, they will turn on us.
It's interesting. We need to move on, and I want to make an observation in terms of where I'm sitting. It's interesting to me, if it was one of Ted Cruz's children yesterday or Governor Abbott's children yesterday, we would be hearing completely different things today. That is the point that you just made. It doesn't hit home for them, so therefore it is not an important issue. It's very sad to me that with Pulse anniversary and the connection of how we tell this story in connection of the proximity to the June 12th anniversary. Yesterday was aimed at children, indefensible. Pulse was aimed at Latin gay people at 2:04 in the morning, indefensible. And 10 days ago, it was aimed at black people that could not get to any other grocery store except this one within miles of their ability, without taking 2 or 3 bus connections, just to eat food. this gun violence is aimed at marginalized and people doing a church service in a synagogue or in a black church or in whatever. It's aimed in a very specific way. It doesn't affect a Governor Abbott. It doesn't affect a Governor DeSantis. It's never going to affect the Ted Cruz. And until they feel the way we do, nothing is going to change. You cannot advocate for change because no change is coming. It's interesting to me, and one other point that I want to make in contrast to you, you remind me of me, and I'm not that anymore. I'm not angry. I posted today that I'm not angry about it because I'm just numb about it. And I have to say that I am experiencing and suffering PTSD. I know it for sure. A couple of reasons why. Today, I went to Sunshine Cathedral's midday prayer. Robert Durrell did a midday prayer. I could see the shock all over his face. And his shock is, you're going to turn to God and pray for something that's not coming. And he said, and I wrote it down, let us be the answer to our prayers. Don't ask God to do something that you're not willing to do yourself. Boom, there it is.
That's it.
All conversation ends. We're not willing to do anything about this, and we haven't, which is one of the reasons I congratulate David Hopkins, who wrote this story for Queer News Tonight. Instead of railing off the rails, he just goes fact, fact, fact,
I noticed
fact.
Yeah.
Kill you with the facts. Second thing, I went in today just to see where we are. I hadn't done this in a while, but I do it again today. We like to be number one in America. We chant at the Olympics and sporting events, USA, USA, USA. And the subject that we're talking, we are by far the best in the world, by far. We have more guns than any other country in the world by a factor of 14.
Wow.
Number two is 14 times behind us. We have more mass shootings in the United States than any country in the world. We have more deaths by guns than any country in the world. We have killed more children in our schools than any country in the world. And oh, by the way, we are so good at what we do, combine the next 50 countries together and multiply it by 10, and they still don't match the United States.
Right.
Understand the math that I just put in front of us? That's how good we are at this. I am suffering PTSD and feeling numbness because next week I'm going to go to Gay Days. On June 2nd, 2016, I went to Gay Days in my last time official capacity. And I took with me a very good friend and employee named Eddie Sotomayor. And 7 days later, he was the first name announced at the Pulse Massacre, killed. Eddie Sotomayor. I always say his name. I'll show the video one more time of me sitting in Orlando Regional Medical Center like those families did yesterday, listening to who's stable, who's critical. If I don't say your name, it means they're dead. And I'm going to show the video of me sitting in ORMC when that moment was going on. And HIPAA was suspended by the president. And when they finished listing the names in this private conference area at Orlando Regional Medical Center, just 1 mile from Pulse, I knew when he finished, Eddie's gone. And that was Gay Days. Going to Gay Days, 1 week later at Pulse Nightclub, and Eddie is gone. Coordinating my efforts at Gay Days, 1 week later, he's gone. Just like these 4th and 5th graders. No control at all. Next week will be the first time I go back to Gay Days in official capacity. Hotspots and Happening Out Television Network is the presenting sponsor of Gay Days and OMW. And I sat in a meeting today talking about the construction of what we're going to do with the expo and what Hotspots and Happening Out Television Network is going to do. And do not say one word of, this will be my first official return to Gay Days since Pulse. The day after I watch what happened yesterday to 4th and 5th graders, 10 days after I watch what has happened to marginalized black people in the only place that they can get food. And then you show that picture of that ridiculous and horrible, horrible human being that is the Attorney General in Texas, and that's the world we're in. So I appreciate your anger because that's where I was. You're looking in a mirror 6 years from now. God forbid any of you were affected. Maybe some of you are, and I just don't know. But God forbid any of you are affected the way I have been affected by senseless gun violence of a gay Muslim man that walked into a nightclub and killed 49 people and injured 52 others. It's senseless. And what are we going to do in the 6 years since? Or Marjory Stoneman Douglas? Or yesterday is absolutely nothing. And that's the world America is. That's the way America is. LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ